Hello everyone, today is 18th of October, Friday, so I hope you all have a wonderful day and a great upcoming weekend. Now it's 20 past 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Later on today, towards the evening, I will publish a second or final news update on my Patreon and Boosty pages, sir. Most likely it will be walk and talk type of video. I will film somewhere in the central parts of Moscow, like yesterday. And I hope our Patreon and Boosty community will find it interesting. And if you are not a member, please consider to join our community, sir. That will be great support for my work and this small media project of mine. Links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. That's been said, let's go through some news now, and I have to start with this disturbing developments that media is reporting about in connection with Ukraine. So, first of all, RT's report about article in a Bild tabloid, German tabloid, which said that Ukraine claims it could have nuclear weapons within weeks. Kyiv has the capability to build a nuclear weapon. In a few weeks, German tabloid Bild reported on Thursday, citing high-ranking Ukrainian officials. The report came after Vladimir Zelensky allowed to such a possibility during a visit to Brussels on the same day. The Ukrainian leader claimed his country needs either nuclear weapons or membership of NATO. Zelensky is currently promoting his victory plan to Ukraine's Western backers, which he argues can end their conflict with Russia, and therefore he was traveling around Europe basically, and he made such a statement that they have to have either membership of NATO or nuclear weapons. And the Vzгляд newspaper reported about his statements. Let's translate this information. So Ukraine must either pose nuclear weapons or be part of the NATO alliance in order to ensure its security. Ukraine's so-called President Vladimir Zelensky said at the EU summit. According to him, today their only working alliance is NATO. Zelensky stressed that Ukraine is the only country that voluntarily give up its nuclear arsenal, and there is so much lies, by the way, isn't it, in these few sentences that this criminal Zelensky stated. First of all, let's be clear on topic of nuclear weapons. Ukraine never had any nuclear weapons, right? I see so many times that Western so-called politicians or public figures, Western propaganda is pushing this narrative that Ukraine voluntarily give up its nuclear weapons. And this is lie, by the way. This is a straight lie. Ukraine never had no nuclear weapons, right? Soviet Union did. And Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic was a part of Soviet Union, and obviously Soviet army was deploying its weapon systems all around the Soviet Union. But it did not mean that those republics were owners of those nuclear weapons or any other weapon systems, right? And also, international community recognized Russia and only Russia as a legit successor of the Soviet Union, and therefore all Soviet nuclear weapons are Russian nuclear weapons. Period. But for whatever reason, these psychopaths are still pushing this narrative that Ukraine voluntarily give up some nukes, which is total BS, by the way. When I was a kid, I saw several times with my own eyes. It was still Soviet Union, so in Tbilisi, by the way, capital of Georgia, where I was living, I grew up there. So I see several times with my own eyes SS-20 missile system, right? Nuclear capable missile system, medium range missile system. And I saw these missiles when they were moving on the bank of the Kwari, that's a river in the central part of Tbilisi. Whenever there was preparations for parades, I believe for 9th of May, right? But Georgia never claimed that it had their nuclear weapons or it gave up its nuclear weapons. because it was not Georgian nuclear weapons, it was Soviet nuclear weapons, and then become Russian nuclear weapons. Although, unfortunately, these very capable missile systems, medium-range missile systems, SS-20s, were destroyed as a result of agreement with US about medium-range missiles, right? So therefore, it is obvious that this narrative that Ukraine somehow give up its nukes is false. No Ukraine, no Georgia, no Kazakhstan, where nuclear carriers were also based, never had no nuclear weapons to give up, right? Soviet Union did, and Russia does. That's the first lie from Zelensky. And secondly, he called the NATO successful alliance, only successful alliance in this world. Come on, man. Do I have to comment on that? If NATO is anything right now, it's only a terrorist organization. That's how the world sees it. Because take a look at the last 20, 30 years, by the way. Take a look at the actions of the NATO against Yugoslavia, against Serbia, against Libya, against Afghanistan. Look at their actions that NATO member states were involved in Africa, in Middle East. And you call this so-called alliance successor? Only terrorists can call NATO a successful story, because NATO itself is a terrorist organization. And in that regard, okay, maybe Zelensky has some points, but to call NATO a successful organization as it tries to present itself as a defensive organization and stuff, no, it's total nonsense, right? But this is not the main topic. Main topic is that I think Zelensky not randomly start talk about going nuclear, and Bild not randomly published an article about nuclear weapons that Ukraine may acquire. I believe this is authorization to hype up this topic is coming from Western ruling class, and I believe this is a response of the Western ruling class on recent statements of Russian President Vladimir Putin on changes of Russia's nuclear doctrine. Probably Western ruling elites were thinking how to respond, and they see no any other option but to use a nuclear blackmail in response. And they authorize Zelensky, they authorize Western propaganda outlets to start pushing this narrative that Ukraine is well capable of becoming nuclear in just a couple of weeks' time. Unfortunately, I have reasons to believe that it is highly likely that NATO already has at least several dirty bombs on Kyiv-controlled territory. I don't think that those bombs are under control of Zelensky, most likely under control of NATO member states that were involved in creation of these dirty bombs. But it is highly likely that at least several dirty bombs already are on Kyiv-controlled. They're already been deployed on Kyiv-controlled territory. And the reasoning why I think so is that some time ago, if you remember, dear friends, I reported about statements of high-ranking Russian military officials about deliveries of some radioactive and toxic elements to Kyiv regime to create a nuclear bomb or device or dirty bomb. And in one occasion, high-ranking Russian military official even stated that possibly several dirty bombs already been created for and are on Kyiv-controlled territory right now. So this is a clearly nuclear blackmail from Western ruling class and their proxies in Kyiv. This is clearly nuclear terrorism, and I believe this story of confrontation of the West and Russia is getting closer to some sort of Rubicon, which if which is crossed, then that's it. There will be no way back from there. So extremely dangerous developments, by the way, even though later on yesterday, Zelensky himself started denying his own claims that he made earlier. And RT is also reporting about it. So Zelensky denies Ukraine is developing nuclear weapons. Ukraine's leader Vladimir Zelensky has denied their country has been seeking to develop nuclear weapons, somewhat contradicting statements he made earlier in the day, which is correct. And dear friends, you can check videos. You can check videos on internet, and you will find out that he clearly said that they want to become either member of NATO or acquire nuclear weapons, right? And this is extremely dangerous because, as I said, I'm afraid there are at least several nuclear devices already built and located in Kyiv controlled territory, and can be used at any time. And I guess Moscow has no option, right? Now, Moscow has no option but to take some decisive actions, and in whichever area these nuclear weapons are stored should be obliterated immediately, because this is threat that cannot be ignored, right? Let's wait what kind of response or at least statements we will hear and see from Russian side today. Of course, I will report about it on my Telegram channel and in the next updates. But situation is getting closer and closer to some crossroad, basically crossroad on which everything will be probably decided. And when it comes to nuclear terrorism of the Kyiv regime and the West, what about this news? RIA Novosti is reporting that former engineer of Zaporozhye nuclear power plant will be being to the justice before the court for preparing terrorist attack on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant under orders of main intelligence directorate of Kyiv regime's defense ministry. So Kyiv regime, it's secret services that are operating under umbrella of CIA and MI6, US CIA and British MI6. They were using their assets that they had in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant to conduct terrorist attack inside the nuclear power station, and of course engineer had access to this power plant, right? So this is not hypothetical talks, by the way, that Western ruling class and their proxies in Kyiv are conducting nuclear terrorism and exercising nuclear terrorism. It is factual. It is factual. And also, I mean, this is not all, by the way. Zelensky also made some other quite crazy statements. And for example, he called the NATO member states to prepare their brigades to be sent to zone of special military operation to replace Kyiv regime's forces. And this is not a joke, by the way. I shared on my Telegram yesterday short video, when he's in English, he's talking about exactly this stuff, that NATO troops should get involved in this war directly, in this proxy war that West is waging against Russia directly, and should replace Kyiv regime's forces on a line of contact. I don't know how even to comment this topic. Once again, I don't think Zelensky is randomly making these statements. Probably he has some authorization from his Western masters, and we should expect deployment of the NATO troops on Kyiv-controlled territory in fairly short time. In the Western Ukraine, first of all, but there is always but. Those troops, those NATO troops, may move further than Western Ukraine, and in that case, well, we have direct confrontation between Russian and NATO troops. RT is reporting that Ukraine's ex-top general teases drafting a woman. So these people are going crazy, by the way, on daily basis, and more crazy. So Ukraine could end up drafting women should their need to save Europe from war raise. The country's former top general and incumbent envoy to UK, Valery Zaluzhny, has suggested. Zaluzhny made the remarks on Thursday when he was a guest at the talk presenter by the think tank Chatham House. If it is necessary to call up women to save Europe from war, then probably we will do it, he said. While it was necessary to prevent war in Europe, that goal should be preferably reached through other means rather than by conscripting Ukrainian women. He added, Kyiv has a longer moved mass conscription of the women to fill the dwindling ranks of the military, as well as to somewhat elevate the toll that conscription has taken on the country's workforce. So yes, I mean, I cannot even comment seriously. This Western ruling class will continue this proxy war, I guess, before last Ukrainian, or at least before anybody in Ukraine can be drafted or forcefully mobilized and sent to the front line. And assets of their Western secret services, including Zaluzhny, are openly talking about it. That, you know, they sacrifice hundreds of thousands of males, citizens of Ukraine. And now they might start sacrificing females, and they have no care about it. Either their Western masters do, right? Meanwhile, by the way, not everybody is happy about developments, current developments in the West, and RT is reporting, for example, that according to Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, Zelensky's so-called peace plan is terrifying. So Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has said he is terrified by the contents of Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky's so-called victory plan for the conflict with Russia. Zelensky, who has been discussing his plan with the Western leaders behind the closed door in recent weeks, finally revealed it to the public during a speech before Ukrainian MPs in the Verkhovna Rada, which is the so-called parliament, on Wednesday. His proposals involved immediate invitation for Kyiv to join NATO, the lifting of restrictions on the use of Western-supplied long-range weapons for strikes on internationally recognized Russian territory, as well as the deployment of the comprehensive non-nuclear strategic deterrence package on Ukrainian soil. Excuse me. What Zelensky outlined yesterday, and he was commenting on Zelensky's this victory plan in the Ukrainian parliament is more than terrifying, Orban said of the victory plan in a Facebook post on Thursday. The Hungarian Prime Minister suggested that EU, which has been providing Kyiv with weapons and funds, has approached the conflict between Russia and Ukraine with a poorly organized, poorly executed, poorly calculated strategy. We are losing this war, so the strategy is not working. A change must be made, he insisted. This does not mean that we need more wars, more dangerous weapons and long-range weapons, but that we need to switch from war strategy to a peace strategy. We need a ceasefire and peace talks, Orban wrote. Although, by the way, hardly anyone among Western ruling class will listen to Orban or his colleagues in Hungary's government, which is sad because Orban is correct. Orban is correct. More escalations we will see from the Western ruling class, more devastating results that escalation will have for Kyiv-controlled territory, citizens of that territory, and for the West. First of all, Russia being harmed also. Don't get me wrong, but we used to some hardships, and we can survive. We are much more prepared. I'm not sure that Western collective West is that prepared for what is about to come if Western ruling elites will continue on this path of escalation. So Orban definitely has a point, and I really hope we will see the escalation, but I mean, still objective reality on the ground dictates to us that there is very little reasoning to believe that we will see the escalation anytime soon, unfortunately. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian foreign minister responded basically on statements of foreign minister of Poland, Sikorsky, when he stated that Poland may start using, or not to Poland, but US and Poland may start basically using anti-missile systems, long-range anti-missile systems that are based in Poland, US systems, to intercept Russian missiles. Let's translate this news to be more precise. I mean, constant escalation, by the way, day in, day out. And when situation is developing this way, how you can be optimistic? I don't know. I still don't believe that we will end up in a full-scale war, collective West and Russia, but unfortunately, some very devastating developments may still happen. That may not transform into the full-scale war, but on its own, these possible developments will be devastating. Yet again, if Western ruling class will not stop escalating. So Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko called irresponsible statements by the Polish authorities regarding the possibility of intercepting Russian missiles. Among the NATO countries, Poland takes the most radical positions. Their leaders make irresponsible statements, Grushko told RIA Novosti. Earlier, Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski said on Radio Rebellion podcast that the US missile defense base in Redzikov, Poland, is designed to destroy not only Iranian but also Russian missiles flying towards Poland. By the way, by making such a statement, Sikorsky, of course, slapped the face of the Washington also, because we all remember, isn't it, that when US was deploying these systems into Eastern Europe, Washington, Pentagon, they were claiming that these systems are not against Russia, only against Iran. Only against Iran, and they are not even capable of intercepting Russian missiles. They are designed on different ways, which was total nonsense, isn't it? And well, Sikorsky now openly saying, this so-called foreign minister of Poland, that these systems can be used to intercept Russian missile. And well, Moscow was very calm and very clear that tried. Moscow said this approach is irresponsible, but if you go that way, then you will find out. That's all, really, by the way. I guess here in Moscow, in Russian leadership, by the way, everybody is also tired, sick and tired of this craziness of the Western ruling class. And I really wonder from where this strength, this restraint, coming from, that despite all these provocations, Russian leadership is still acting extremely cautiously. And dear friends, I don't know if you will agree with me, but I think Western ruling class Western so-called elite should pray every day, multiple times a day even, for Putin to remain in power here in Russia as long as they're possible. Because just imagine if tomorrow Russian president decided that he had enough, he is resigning now, and by chance someone like me become a Russian leader. Well, in that case, I guess we'll understand that hours for the Western ruling elites will be numbered. Not years, not months, not 2 weeks, hours. So, and by the way, I'm not exaggerating nothing. Probably you know me as Georgian Ossetian, right? Because I am Georgian Ossetian, and you only know most likely another Georgian Ossetian, and his name is Stalin, right? And he was not joking around. Maybe we are built differently or something, I don't know. But he was definitely not playing around, right? And if you ask me, in some cases, I believe, even though I'm not big fan of the Stalin's internal policies, when it comes to foreign policies, I think Stalin was too soft on Russian enemies. He dealt significant damage to Russian enemies, don't get me wrong, but I still think he was too soft on Japan. And he was too soft on Austria. He was too soft on Germany. He was too soft on Turkey. He was too soft on the Western states. And I still don't understand, dear friends, why France is a permanent member of the UN. For what? For what? For losing the war to Nazi Germany in 4 weeks? And if not Stalin, then trust me, France wouldn't be permanent member of the UN, right? Nowadays, I don't even know if that means anything, but still, man. Still, so I guess I made the point, isn't it, that Western ruling class really should pray every day and multiple times that current president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, will remain in power as long as possible, because if someone like me becomes Russian president, then holy moly, that will be end of Western ruling class for sure. I mean, guaranteed end. Right? And trust me, many people, by the way, here in Russia, it's not just me that really is sick and tired to hear and read these threats against Russia, against us, by the way, on daily basis from the Western ruling elites. But I think many members of Russian leadership, political leadership, and military leadership are also tired of this nonsense, man. And we are probably getting closer and closer to the point when Moscow will say, you know what? Now you will find out. And maybe Western ruling elites will find out then. I don't know. Anyways, let's continue. Also, by the way, we have this report that I mentioned earlier in the updates that Australia has decided to transfer its retiring fleet of M1A1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, and the Russian embassy stated that these Australian Abrams tanks will burn as well as in very same way as US as Abrams tanks that US delivered to Kyiv regime. Of course, this 49 or whatever number of tanks Canberra is planning to send to Kyiv regime not gonna change much on the battlefield there, especially now, by the way, when rainy season is about to begin, and Even if on summertime these tanks are experiencing difficulties moving around because of that they are too heavy. What about Rasputitsa? It's not gonna move at all, right? So yes, just a reminder that Australian leadership transferring its retiring M1A1 tanks to Kyiv regime, and I guess some other countries from collective West will do the same. Maybe US itself also will deploy some more, will transfer more Abrams tanks to Kyiv regime, because Kyiv regime's forces clearly are running out of military equipment, not just manpower but military equipment also. Vzgled newspaper is reporting that well, Trump had an interview with the PBD podcaster. I saw some fragments of this discussion, and later on today or maybe tomorrow I want to watch this interview. Quite often I watch some clips from PBD. They have some interesting takes sometime, although quite often I disagree with their takes, but it's all okay, isn't it? Interesting podcast in any ways, and Trump made a statement that several interesting statements in regards to Zelensky, Kyiv regime, Ukraine, and basically he said that Zelensky should never allow this conflict to start. Let's translate this information. As I said, dear friends, quite interesting conversation on PBD, and rumors are that Trump may appear on Joe Rogan also, isn't it? That would be something to watch for sure. So Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky should have prevented the outbreak of the armed conflict between Ukraine and Russia. US presidential candidate Donald Trump said Zelensky is one of the greatest salesmen I've ever seen. Every time it appears, we give him 100 billion. Who else in history has received such money? Quotes Trump TASS news agency with reference to PBD podcast. He also noted that his statement does not mean unwillingness to help Ukraine. Trump expressed regrets over their situation. At the same time, he said that Zelensky should never have allowed this war to start. Trump also said that Ukraine is not the same Ukraine as it used to be, and he said that I saw several clips, as I said, and during this podcast he also said that Ukrainian cities are all decimated and nothing is left there, and that kind of stuff, and that clearly demonstrates that level of information that Trump has about situation in Ukraine is not really on a top, because maybe he don't understand that Russian militaries are not acting as Israeli militaries do. I mean, maybe he was thinking that well, Israel decimated literally, entire Gaza Strip, almost no building there that have not been damaged, and no city or town. And maybe Trump thinks that Russian militaries are operating in the same manner, but Russian military is not. Russian military is not, and that's why Russia is deploying this active defense strategy, so that Russian troops will use more or less same line of contact to demilitarize Kyiv regime's capabilities, demilitarize Kyiv regime basically, and only after that some large-scale offensives will take place to make sure that less casualties will appear and less damage will be done to infrastructure, because we all seeing settlements on the line of contact, right? Because of the high intensity of clashes on the line of contacts, quite a number of settlements literally were almost erased from the face of the earth, but only on line of contact. When it comes to Russian long-range strikes, these are precise strikes. precise strikes. And if Trump is thinking that there is nothing is left from Kyiv or Kharkov or Zaporozhye or Lvov or any other town, by the way, Odessa, I mean, he clearly is mistaken, isn't it? But anyways, it is interesting to know that seems like Trump is not that keen to further prolong this proxy war against Russia. And when I say Trump, I mean whatever centers of the force are behind him. And he's clearly not alone, right? He's not a random person. Behind him, there should be some significant and very influential groups among the Western ruling class, right? So there is some little hope, by the way, little hope that maybe if Trump is elected as a president, he and this group that is behind him will try to de-escalate with Russia. Maybe, but yet again, who knows? By the way, Trump already was president once, and he was only escalating with Russia, isn't it? So therefore, if you ask me personally, I will struggle to give you an answer which one from these candidates will probably be more useful for a peace: Kamala Harris and the groups that are behind her, or Trump and groups that are behind him, because I just really don't know. Trump already was the president of US, and the US was and he imposed on Russia more sanctions than any other president before him, right? And this was happening while these neolips and deep state and propaganda that they are controlling, propaganda outlets, were calling him a Russian asset. So I mean, it is what it is, man. We will find out, isn't it? We will find out soon. It's only like 4 weeks left, isn't it, before elections in US will take place. And dear friends, let me notice, if I may, before I continue with some other news, that this small media project of mine, this channel and all the other channels that I'm working on are completely subscriber funded. And I will be immensely grateful if you will also consider to support my work. If you like my work, and if you like my channels, and if you think me and these channels deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, and if so, then you can support with a donation through PayPal or donation through Boosty platform, or by subscribing to my Patreon page and also page on Boosty. This is yesterday's second update that I published on Patreon and Boosty from Pushkin Square here in the center of Moscow, and I have many videos, by the way. News updates, behind the scenes videos, some other stuff, and hopefully you will find it interesting if you will subscribe. Links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to all the members of our community who supported and continues to support my work. Without you, this project would not exist, dear friends, so I am truly grateful for this unique opportunity. So thank you very much. Let's continue, dear friends, with some more news. And TASS news agency is reporting that IDF conducted some 150 strikes on the Gaza Strip and Lebanon during the previous 24 hours. And during one of the strikes, Israeli forces killed their political leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, and Hamas confirmed this information, and already new political leader is being appointed. I reported about it on my Telegram. Yes, this is Patreon, by the way. I shared a link to my update yesterday's second update on Patreon. I shared link on Telegram, and well, where is the information? This is the news, by the way, that Hamas appoints new acting head following the assassination of the Yahya Sinwar. Politburo member Khaled Mashal will take Sinwar's place after he was killed by the IDF in Gaza. So this person will replace this former head of the organization. And well, Biden, by the way, bragged about assisting Israel in killing of this former Hamas leader. And basically what we are observing now is legitimization of the killing of the political opponents, right? Because in this particular case, we are talking about political leadership of Hamas, not military leadership, right? And I mean, Israel is clearly going after people that they should negotiate, right? Or at least they are claiming that they are in negotiations with and are demanding this and that. So that's quite a strange way to negotiate, isn't it? When you are killing everybody that you have talks with. And involvement of US in the killing of political leadership of Hamas or Hezbollah or some other groups definitely will cause some disturbances in the future, because who said that only Israel or US can take out political leaders of their opponents or their enemies? Other countries, other regimes may think the same way and act on that, right? So it's like a boomerang, and Israel and the US should get ready to be on the receiving end of that boomerang now, right? TASS news agency is reporting that Germany has decided to transfer to Israel some AIM-9L guided missiles. Oh, sorry, not to Israel, by the way. My bad. To Ukraine. This news should be here, where I am talking about Ukraine. So this happened time to time, by the way. You are reading like dozens and dozens of news, sir. At some point you may get confused. So almost a month later, Germany updated the list of weapons transferred to Kyiv, including one IRIS-T SLM and one IRIS-T SLS air defense systems, 8 Leopard 1A5 tanks, 20 Marder infantry fighting vehicles, and in the process of preparing to delivery of AIM-9L guided missiles as well as drones. This follows from the list of military assistance to the armed forces of Ukraine published on their website of the government of the Federal Republic. So I guess this is weapon systems that Ukraine received from last promised package. But earlier this week there was a report that, according to Germany media, Berlin is no longer considering to deliver some additional military aid packages to Kyiv regime that are based on heavy military equipment, Leopard 2 tanks, Marder infantry fighting vehicles, and artillery systems. Although, by the way, when it comes to, Scholz's regime, you cannot be sure, isn't it? Because this is a regime that completely dependent on Washington and London, and if order is given to Scholz by his masters, then he will do whatever he is told. He will supply entire weapons arsenal of the Bundeswehr to Kyiv regime, right? Anyways, let's continue. RT is reporting that party colleagues want Trudeau to resign, according to media. Quite interesting. So a group of Canadian MPs from Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party are planning to demand that the Prime Minister step down from his role as a party's leader, according to local media reports. Their faction has been organizing itself over the past 10 days. CTV News reported on Wednesday, citing MPs who spoke on conditions of anonymity. The lawmakers are expected to formally ask Trudeau to step down from the post during the next Wednesday's caucus. The issue is expected to be addressed directly with Trudeau and kept private from the general public. CTV News said it had spoken to some 35 Liberal MPs over the past few days, with 5 of them stating they endorsed the plan to oust Trudeau. So maybe, by the way, maybe this era of the Trudeau's dictatorship, basically in Canada, is coming to their end. Maybe, and even though I'm a bit exaggerating calling Trudeau a dictator, our friends from Canada probably will say that under Trudeau's regime, Canada has changed quite a lot, and not in the best ways. Not in the best ways, sir. And therefore, most likely, Trudeau is about to be gone from politics. Although who knows? Only time will tell, isn't it? And meanwhile, we have this report that Russia's made tanks are about to undergo significant modernization in India. So India has concluded an overhaul of its fleet of Russian-manufactured T-90 Brishma. Indian name for these tanks are Brishma. Tanks in a major undertaking aimed to extending their lifespan by at least 20 years. Indian media have quoted an official as saying the T-90 tanks were assembled using Russian-supplied kits at the heavy vehicles factory in Tamil Nadu state of southern India. Starting in the early 2000s, the Indian military currently operates around 1,300 such vehicles, according to media reports. Their overhaul, and there are some details then what kind of modernization this tank will undergo. And Russia is still, by the way, one of the major weapon suppliers to India, one of the major partners when it comes to strengthening India's national security. And I really hope this strategic partnership will continue to develop. And what is also important, by the way, Russia is not just selling weapons to India, but transferring technologies. And India is capable now to build its own tanks because thanks to cooperation with Russia, manufacturing capabilities being built there. India is well capable to build its own very sophisticated missiles, BrahMos missiles, for example, that are a result of the combined work of the Russian and the Indian military-industrial complex. And there are many other instances when this cooperation is on top level and Russia is transferring technologies to India, and it's all good, by the way. It's all good. I believe security of India is in strategical interests of Russia also. As a security of Russia should be seen, or most likely are seen by India as also in strategical interests of India. And to understand why I think so, just take a look at the map, by the way. India is on southern side, Russia is on northern side, and they are giant in between, right? Powerhouse, military, economical powerhouse in between, and obviously India and Russia, they will both feel much more comfortable while maintaining this strategical partnership between each other. It does make all the sense, isn't it? So, well done to India. T-90s, by the way, are quite capable tanks, obviously, although definitely they need some modernization, and Indian military-industrial complex is about to deal with this issue, probably with active support from Russia. I would not be surprised at all if sometime in the future India will start producing something like T-90M tanks. Let's see. Although, by the way, when it comes to cooperation between India and Russia, me personally, I feel sorry that sides were unable to continue cooperation on a 5th-gen fighter jet program. India was a part of PACFA initially, which resulted in a creation of Su-57, Russian 5th-gen fighter jet. And at some point, India withdrew from this project, which is unfortunate. I would like to see Su-57s in Indian Air Force, but I mean, for whatever reason, I don't know what was the details and a real reasoning of withdrawal of India. Reports are that it was just too costly, but in anyways, maybe sometime in the future cooperation will resume in terms of 5th-gen fighter jets, because India definitely needs 5th-gen fighters, by the way, for sure. And I doubt that US will provide India with F-35s, and even if US will, F-35s are, those planes are obsolete, by the way, already, right now. Something more capable planes are needed, I believe. Anyways, let's continue. RT is reporting that EU Commissioner labels Musk a promoter of the evil. Wow. Wow. So, ex-CEO Elon Musk is unable to recognize good and evil, said the outgoing EU Commissioner for Values and Transparency, Vera Jourova, accusing the tech billionaire of failing to curb anti-Semitism on his platform. We started to relativize evil, and he is helping it proactively. He is the promoter of evil, Jourova told Politico magazine in an interview published on Wednesday, arguing that X has become their main hub for spreading anti-Semitism. Wow, and Elon Musk was correct when during the recent conversation with Tucker Carlson, he said it openly, directly, that if Trump is losing presidential elections or forces that are behind the Trump, he is effed up, by the way. Elon Musk said it about himself, that he is effed up if Trump is losing. And probably he has some reasoning to say so, because he's under constant attacks, by the way, from different sides. Now EU is attacking him. How he is an active promoter of anti-Semitism. This Jourova, does she even know who Semites are? Maybe pro-Palestinian groups are very active on X platform. But those people cannot be anti-Semites because they are Semites themselves, right? Arab people are Semites, as Jewish people are. Or used to be originally, at least, right? Because Judaism is a religion, isn't it? It's not an ethnicity, it's a religion. And I would not be surprised at all if some studies will be conducted and we will find out that vast majority of Israeli Jews are not Semites. There might be just Indo-Europeans like I am and like you are. And by the way, I might have but I definitely have more closer ties to the Middle East, being descendant of a Kiev-Sarmatian civilization, being descendant of Alans, than vast majority of citizens of Israel that basically really came to Israel from Europe, from other places worldwide, but not from the Middle East, right? And if you say so, it does not mean that you are anti-Semite or anything. You cannot be anti-Semite, right? If you're criticizing Israel or if you are saying some historical facts, right? If you say something harmful about a religious group or some ethnic group, then okay, you may be called some names, but just for criticizing Israel or just for supporting cause of Palestinians to be called anti-Semite, really? Palestinians are Semites, for God's sake. And if you are in support of Palestinians, how you can be anti-Semite? This terminology, by the way, is so misused in the West that nowadays I don't really understand if anybody cares whatever names they've been called. I don't know. And Elon Musk himself is definitely not an anti-Semite or anti-Israeli in any way, shape, or form. We all know that he's traveled to Israel. He met with Israeli leadership and he demonstrated as much as he could that he is in full support of Israel, right? So to call him anti-Semite or to call him someone that promotes anti-Semitism is crazy. And yet again, you cannot be anti-Semite if you are pro-Palestinian, because Arab people and Palestinians are Arabs also, right? They are Semites, for God's sake. Anyways, man, Elon Musk is definitely in trouble if Trump is not winning. And when it comes to his platform, by the way, X, I don't know, man. I don't know. X is also, I guess, under the threat. And one day, Brussels may even block this platform. Because as far as I understand, the Western ruling elites, Western ruling class are now in such a disarray and in such a dark place that they don't want to hear any opinions outside of their narratives at all. Just they don't want to hear any opposition, any other opinions, anything. Only what they want to hear. That's it. And they're not even hiding that no more. We all remember, isn't it? Hillary Clinton, just like a week or 2 weeks ago, said it openly that they are losing total control over the narratives because of the social media. Also, John Kerry spoke about her necessity to have full control over these social media platforms. And now this person, Vera Jourova, is attacking X and Elon Musk. I don't know, man. I don't know. Social media is definitely under threat, especially ones that are at least trying to keep some balance. Right? I'm not talking about Meta or Facebook, Instagram, and that kind of garbage. These platforms are totally controlled by Western ruling class. Unfortunately, YouTube is the same. If you see my yesterday's 2 updates, by the way, on YouTube, you will understand what I'm talking about. Videos were suppressed or destroyed. Numbers are fake, by the way. Since our community reached 10,000, my main updates never had so little views than they had yesterday. So YouTube is the same as Facebook and Instagram. And well, there is X, there is Rumble, and some other smaller platforms that still are allowing free speech, and that's it really. And they are under attack constantly. And their CEOs, their management also, obviously. But anyways, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that well, Xi Jinping will arrive in Russia to participate in BRICS summit that will take place from 22nd to 24th of October. So it's official now. Chinese Foreign Ministry confirmed the information that Xi Jinping, Chinese leader, will participate personally in the BRICS summit. Not really surprising news, of course, but it is always good to have official confirmation. And also, dear friends, RIA Novosti is... And when it comes to BRICS summit, by the way, it's going to be it's definitely going to be historical. This Kazan BRICS summit that will take place that will start just in a couple of days time will definitely be historical one. a very representative one. Dozens of countries, leaders of dozens of countries will participate. It's going to be big, by the way, and I have very, very big expectations, especially when it comes to a topic of alternative financial and the banking system for this world, not just for BRICS, but for this world, alternative to their extremely weaponized Western one. And there are many other topics that some big decisions to be announced in my expectations. So let's see. It's going to be historical. RIA Novosti is reporting, dear friends, and I will end this update on this news, that World Bank updated its forecast about growth of Russian GDP. And according to World Bank, Russian GDP will grow in 2024 for 3.2%. So, okay. World Bank is predicting that in 2025 Russian economy will grow 1.6%, and in 2026 1.1%. Although in June, by the way, a very same World Bank was predicting that Russian economy in 2024 will grow only 2.9%, and now they are changing this prediction for 3.2%. So basically, what this information tells us is that you cannot trust World Bank, by the way, and its predictions. Last year was the same, year before was the same, and International Monetary Fund was doing the same. They have a forecast that Russian economy will grow just a little bit, but when they see Russian economy was growing, like last year it was 3.5% or something like that, isn't it? Well, they had to, change their forecast eventually, and I believe very same will happen with this World Bank predictions. Also, they will change forecast for 2024 once again. Just look at it, man. Mark my word, they will increase this number because me personally, I believe Russian economy this year will grow at least 4 to 4.5%. Big numbers, by the way, especially if you take in account all these 20,000 plus sanctions that West has imposed on Russia, and all this negativity that is generated by the West against us. So yes, it is still good that Western financial institutions like World Bank and International Monetary Fund are forced basically to acknowledge that Russian economy is doing much better than Western economies or economies of their G7 countries. And well, I will end this update on that. Quite long video, but hopefully you will find it informative, interesting, and useful. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything, any topic. Yesterday YouTube destroyed my videos. Probably very few members of our community receive notification about updates or see my videos in recommendations. But still, as long as I have channel on YouTube and it's not blocked, we have a reason to try, isn't it? Try to reach wider audience, and therefore, if you can, please click that like button, leave some commentary, or as many commentaries as you can. And if you can, please also share information about my channel with your friends in real life or on internet, on any of the platforms that I'm not being blocked yet. Because you cannot share a link to my videos on Facebook, for example. I guess on Instagram also, and there's some other platforms that even though I'm not active on those platforms, they are blocking my content. Okay. And finally, if you like my work, dear friends, if you want to support, if you think me, my channels deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with donation through PayPal or Boosty platform, with the crypto currencies. I have crypto wallet also, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. If you are a member of our Patreon community or Boost community, I see you later on today. If you're not, then see you tomorrow. Have a great day.